This is the debut episode of Sports on Tap. Coming up, we talk about the NFL trade deadline and major Week 10 headlines, and the college football playoff rankings are officially out. I give you my top 4 coming up. Hello, and thank you for joining me on the debut episode of Sports on Tap. I'm your host, Lindsay Burke. There wasn't much activity with this year's NFL trade deadline. Some of the league's biggest moves include a trade between the Washington Commanders and the San Francisco 49ers involving 3-year defensive end Chase Young heading to the Bay, where he'll reunite with his former Buckeye teammate Nick Bosa to aid as a much-needed defensive front for the 49ers. Young made a massive impact in his debut with the Niners in their 34-3 win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, including a sack and forced fumble shared with Bosa. What has turned out to be possibly the biggest move at the deadline was Josh Dobbs, going from Arizona to Minnesota, where he continues to shine with the Vikings in their 27-19 win over the New Orleans Saints. Dobbs went 23 of 34 in passing completions for 312 yards with 2 total touchdowns. Why is this so important? The Vikings began the season 0-3, lost their star wideout Justin Jefferson for part of the season, and not to mention what got Joshua Dobbs to the Vikings, the loss of their starting quarterback Kirk Cousins. The Vikings now sit at 6-4 after going 6-1 in the last 7 games. And with Jefferson set to come back from IR soon, look out NFC North. While they become impressive, it may not be the runaway division title the Detroit Lions thought it could be. C.J. Stroud, you may have heard of him already at this point in the season. Oh yeah, the first-year second overall pick out of Ohio State. Yeah, he's doing quite well for the Houston Texans, and after taking his team into Cincinnati and beating the red-hot Bengals, he's not only in the Rookie of the Year award conversation, but now finds himself in the MVP race as well. And why not? He has totally revamped that team. And the scary part for the AFC South, they're a very young team. Look out, the Dallas Cowboys are coming. After beating a 2-7 New York Giants team, it's not the bounce back win that leads this topic. It's the fact that they put up 600 yards of offense. Dak Prescott silenced his doubters with that great performance and continues to prove himself this season. And of course, we can't take away any due credit to his star wideout CeeDee Lamb, who, by the way, had 12 receptions for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Giants. I know what you're thinking. The football mind easily makes you go, it was against the 2-7 Giants. Keep in mind, Lamb has been doing this all season, and just in the last 3 games, he sits at 500 yards receiving and 4 total touchdowns. Yes, I said over the last 3 games. Keep an eye out for America's team because they continue to put the league on notice with impressive performances. One thing Week 10 brought was 6 teams converting game-winning field goals as time expired. This was the first time in NFL history for the most game-winning scores with no time remaining in a single week. That's why you draft a kicker. This list includes the Cleveland Browns, Arizona Cardinals, Detroit Lions, Houston Texans, and the Denver Broncos. Let's shift gears from pro ball to college football. This week's headlines include number 3 Michigan traveling to Happy Valley and taking down number 10 Penn State without newly suspended head coach Jim Harbaugh amid the NCAA investigation involving a sign-stealing scheme. This was business as usual for the Wolverines, and they carried themselves with confidence the entire game. They never flinched, won this game on the road, arguably the most difficult environment in all of college football, and managed to do it by only completing 6 passes. The real test for the Wolverines comes just shy of 2 weeks when the Buckeyes come to the Big House for the annual rivalry game. Given the circumstances of everything, this game is bound to be the most epic in rivalry history. Speaking of the Buckeyes, they were business as usual as they handled the Michigan State Spartans at home with no problem, defeating them 38-3, where Marvin Harrison Jr. had 149 yards and 3 touchdowns for the Buckeyes. Harrison Jr. is argued to be in the Heisman race this year, and why not? He tied the program record of 100-plus receiving yards in 14 games. And he's fourth all-time program history for receiving touchdowns at 29, just behind program leader Chris Olave at 35. That's saying a lot when you look at the receivers before him that are playing at the next level. The College Football Committee has met, and there is officially a college football playoff ranking. Their top 4 consist of Ohio State sitting at number 1, Georgia at number 2, Michigan at number 3, and Florida State ranks 4th in the nation. My top 4 has Georgia at number 1, defending national champions and 27 straight wins. To be the best, you have to beat the best. And that's why Georgia is number 1 for me. I have Ohio State at number 2. It's simple. They have the best resume after beating Notre Dame on the road, beating a ranked Penn State team, and a couple of other wins against Maryland and Rutgers, both of which have winning records. This strengthens their resume. At number 3, I have Michigan. Now, strength of schedule, Michigan doesn't have anything outside of the recent win against ranked Penn State. Every other team on their schedule has a losing record, but they do have the best defense. Their defense is the only one who, up until last weekend against Penn State, gave up fewer than 10 points per game. Their running game, another huge strength. I have them at number 3. Finally, number 4, I have Washington. Look, they have 3 top 25 wins. Those came against Oregon, who the committee ranks at barely sitting outside the top 4, 16th ranked Utah, and 19th ranked Arizona. Ohio State has the 15th ranked toughest schedule in the country. Georgia has a 100th ranked strength of schedule, while Michigan sits at the 111th ranked toughest schedule in college football. The college football season is about to get even more chaotic as we reach the last couple weeks of the regular season. The committee meets every Tuesday to release the updated college football playoff rankings, and with only 2 weeks left in the regular season, you can bet a lot is going to happen. That's it for our first episode of Sports on Tap. Thank you for joining us. Until next time.